Now I must say, Kevin Durant is one of my favorite basketball players of all time. His play style is genuinely one of the most captivating things I've ever seen as a spectator. If you were to look at just his highlights, you'd be inclined to believe that he's like a top 5 or top 10 player to ever play the game of basketball. He's a 6'11" power forward or small forward, depending on where you look at in his career, and he can move and score like a shifty 6'1" guard. His archetype as a player has revolutionized how we look at the idea of big men in the NBA. I mean, he's the main reason why bigs such as Victor Wembanyama and Karl Anthony Towns can shoot threes now and dribble so well. The main reason for contention or regard of his greatness, though, is his legacy and career choices. After leaving OKC to join the Warriors, people hated this nigga. Him and the Warriors dominated for 3 years that he's been a part of that team. In the years of 2016 to 2019, Golden State went 67-15, 58-24, and 56-26 in the regular season. He went to the finals in all 3 of his seasons and won 2 out of the 3 championships and won both finals MVPs. I mean, his accolades speak for himself, but the way how he got them is still very highly debated to this day. He was on possibly the greatest basketball team ever created, not counting any teams from the All-Star Games or the Olympics. People debate if he even was the best player on the Golden State Warriors. You can make a solid argument that Klay and Steph were more integral parts of those teams, but KD's scoring and defending is something that team very much valued for his tenure there. After leaving Golden State in 2019, he left for the Nets and formed one of the biggest disappointments of a super team ever on the Nets with James Harden and Kyrie. The main reason why this team was a disappointment, however, was actually not because of their performances, but availability. 1 out of the 3 members of this core was either injured or had off-court problems, meaning in totality, this core only played a total of 16 games altogether. And the core only lasted 13 months as Harden was shipped off to the 76ers for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and picks. After being traded to the Suns in 2023, people thought they were going to be a real problem and title contender. The core of Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and KD seemed pretty promising, but ultimately never amounted to anything in the long term, not even making the playoffs this season. With having only 1 year left on his contract, he'll step back into free agency like how he did back in 2016. Even though he's 36 years old, he still puts up great numbers, averaging 27, 6, and 4, having a field goal percentage of 53%. One thing that you can't take away from KD is that he's always been an efficient scorer. With all this being said, however, why is he such a highly debated player when it comes to his all-time ranking? Let's go over some of his accolades though, so we know why he's considered so great. Kevin Durant is a 2-time NBA champion with the Golden State Warriors in the years of 2017 and 2018. He's a 2-time Finals MVP in 2017-2018. He's a 1-time NBA MVP in 2014 with the Oklahoma City Thunder. He has 14 NBA All-Star selections. He has 6 All-NBA first teams, 4 All-NBA second teams, and 1 All-NBA third team. He was named NBA Rookie of the Year in 2008 and a part of the NBA All-Rookie First Team in 2008. In 2013, he has become part of the 50-40-90 Club. He's a 3-time Olympic gold medalist, 1-time FIBA World Champion, and he's the all-time leading scorer in U.S. Olympic basketball history. Kevin Durant's extremely decorated when it comes to accomplishments throughout his career. There's no denying the fact that he's a future Hall of Famer when he retires due to his accomplishments alone. Even with these milestones and accomplishments, why isn't he considered all-time great by most people? The main reason why Kevin Durant isn't considered an all-time great is because of how he got his championships. The 2016 to 2019 Warriors is not only one of the greatest teams ever created, but also one of the most hated because of Kevin Durant. If y'all don't remember, back in 2016, there were a lot of theories that were surrounding Kevin Durant when it came to free agency. Would he stay at OKC after losing in the conference finals, or would he go to another team to get a better chance to win a ring? And if he did leave, where would he go? Originally, he told Russell Westbrook that he was staying and wasn't going anywhere, and everything was fine for a while. Life was good and OKC was happy. Enter July 7th, 2016.
Beautiful, huh? In traffic, not even really looking at KD. Understanding he's a...
Durant signs with the Golden State Warriors in one of the most shocking NBA trades of all time. Golden State, that same year, had beaten OKC in the conference finals, but lost in the NBA Finals against the LeBron-led Cavaliers. KD not only lied to his teammate and supposedly best friend at the time, Russ, but he also lied to the whole OKC fan base. People don't believe that his championships were legitimate because of the amazing team that surrounded KD for that win. Just to remind you, that team had prime Klay Thompson, prime Steph Curry, prime Draymond Green, and prime Andre Iguodala. Genuinely one of, if not the most unstoppable team that we've ever seen in the NBA. It was also considered a weak move because he left an already established pretty good team in the OKC for the team that beat him in the conference finals. Now, people claim that KD can't really lead a team to success in the playoffs, and to their credit, they're not entirely wrong. During his time in OKC, he got his team to the finals in 2012, but he had to face D Wade, LeBron, and Chris Bosh. Needless to say, he couldn't get that done. Now, you could argue that this was due to inexperience in the finals and just the playoffs in general, as it was his 5th year in the NBA, but regardless, he couldn't cut it and didn't win this series. Like I said earlier, after the Warriors, he left for the Nets and teamed up with Kyrie and Harden. During this time, the furthest that he got was the conference semifinals. Yes, the farthest that he got was the conference semifinals. And do you want to hear something even crazier? In the other 2 years that Kevin Durant was in the playoffs with the Brooklyn Nets got swept in the first round, as in 0 wins and 4 losses. Needless to say, Kevin Durant's tenure at Brooklyn was a failure at the highest degree. After leaving the Nets for the Suns, he was put on a team with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker. And this is what I think people mean when I hear them say that he can't lead a team to victory. The furthest he ever got in the playoffs at the Suns was the conference semifinals again, where he got destroyed by future NBA champions, the Nuggets. For the other 2 years he was on the team, he got swept in the first round again by the Timberwolves and didn't even make the playoffs. With the Nets, you can argue that he didn't have Kyrie and Harden for the majority of his tenure there, but here there's almost absolutely no excuse. I think it's clear that KD's playoff record since leaving the Warriors is very much suspect. The farthest he ever got excluding OKC and the Warriors was the conference semifinals. With that being said, however, I don't think that this is technically all his fault. KD for his entire career has put up very strong numbers. For the years that he was playing on the Nets, which is around 2020 to 2023, I'm not really counting 2019 because he was injured for the majority of that season, he averaged 29 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists, with a field goal percentage of 54% and a 40% three-point percentage. He's putting up very strong numbers with very strong efficiency, which shows he still has the potential to win if given enough to work with. With all these caveats that are saying Kevin Durant isn't a legitimate player and he's pretty much nothing without the Warriors, well, the main reason why people debate if Kevin Durant is really an all-time great player is that he's supposedly one of, if not the greatest scorer of all time. Sure, winning 2 NBA championships and being a top 2, to some people even considering him to be the best member of those championship teams, is very promising. However, KD's scoring prowess is what really helps his case with being considered one of the greatest of all time. Like I said, being one of, if not the best player for a team is a very good accomplishment. However, there's always been players and teams like that, with duos and teams that have dominated. You got Kobe and Shaq Lakers, the Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan Bulls, the Tim Duncan and Tony Parker Spurs, the list goes on. However, very few players can claim to do what Kevin Durant can do. If we're not just talking stats and just looking at what the highlights are showing us, he dribbles, scores, and assists like a guard, having one of the most dangerous crossovers that the league has ever seen. Bro, I'm being so serious. I think this is the first time where we see a player that can move and score like this and be this goddamn tall. Like seriously, how do you guard someone this tall and someone that moves that shifty? Not even talking about stats, KD has also shifted the way how the NBA looks at the 4 and 5 positions. Scouts are now looking for forwards and centers who can do pretty much anything on the basketball field. Score, defend, shoot on good efficiency, rebound, dribble, anything. Many tall players have definitely paved the way for that, with Kevin Durant and Dirk Nowitzki coming to mind. Now, if we're talking stats, ladies and gentlemen, in the playoffs, he averages around 29 points per game, which is 4th all-time behind Michael Jordan, Luka Doncic, and Allen Iverson. Out of these 4 players, however, he has the 2nd most amount of points behind Michael Jordan, but averaging his points with the amount of games he's played is about 29 points per game. He's 8th in all-time points ever scored, just recently becoming the 8th player of all time to hit 30,000 career points. In 2013, he's averaged 30 points per game on 50-40-90 splits, being one of only 3 players to ever do so. And he has 4 scoring titles, which is the 3rd most amount of scoring titles out of every player ever, only trailing behind Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain. If you ask me on where I'd place Kevin Durant all time, I'd say he's anywhere from a top 15 player to maybe even a top 25 or top 30 all-time player. His accolades, playstyle, and overall influence on the NBA is what makes him one of the all-time greats and easily a first ballot Hall of Famer. One thing that I want to speak on, however, is, well, where does he go now? At the time of recording this, Kevin Durant is about 36 years old, but like I said, he still puts up very strong numbers. With rumors that he's leaving the Suns next year in free agency, he's obviously not going to stay there, and I don't think that he'll be the primary scorer or main threat to a team at 36. But Where does he go next? I'll tell you what I would like to see him end up. I think he'll do great at the Spurs. I think a trio with De'Aaron Fox, Wembanyama, and Kevin Durant would go insane in the West. Even though Wemby's injured, by the time KD's contract is up at the Suns, he should be able to play with KD if he were to get signed to the Spurs. So why am I doing a video about Kevin Durant of all players? Well, for one, he's like actually genuinely one of my favorite players to ever watch. Watching this man's highlights is almost like watching a car crash. There's something so uncomfortable and unnatural from his gameplay and just way of playing basketball, but it's also so interesting you can't look away from it in a sort of morbid way. But also, Kevin Durant is, if I'm doing my research right, he is one of only 5 players that is currently playing in the NBA right now that has either 18 or more years of experience in the league. And what this basically means is that he's very close to retiring soon, like much closer than we give him credit for. So I think it's pretty interesting to talk about his overall legacy and the fact on where exactly does he stand all time compared to the rest of the best players of all time. Because I think there's no doubt Kevin Durant is an anomaly of a player and honestly one of the best players to ever touch the NBA. And I just find something very interesting in a player of his caliber and where he stands all time. Now, this isn't the video that I wanted to put out. The video that I wanted to put out is going to be postponed for a couple more days because I'm having a little bit of complications with it. But that video is going to be great. I promise you. I'm giving that video a lot of it, trying to make it as perfect as possible and trying to make it come out as good as I possibly can make it for you guys. All right? So you guys take care. I'll see you when that video comes out.